You know what? Honestly, okay, I'm going to make a really weird sounding argument. The Protestant work ethic is gooning. Yeah. But that actually that reminds me, talking about work, I realized something recently. I what was the context in which I saw this, right? Something to do with like honest and hardworking, right? I forget where exactly I saw this. You hear the term honest and hardworking like put next to each other to describe the moral virtue of somebody, like frequently enough that it just kind of sticks in your head. I think it was like one one time recently I saw this and I realized honest, hardworking, such and such is just the Straggots way of saying submissive and breedable. Truly, it is the same thing, right? Hard work is not a virtue. Every Protestant probably shit themselves and started furiously typing on the keyboard the moment I said that. Hard work is not a virtue. There's nothing necessarily virtuous about working hard, right? So then why do we refer to honest and hardworking as a single virtue? Honesty is a virtue. Don't intend to refute that one. Honesty is virtuous. Um, like you particularly you hear it like good, honest, hardworking Americans, hardworking workers in this country, blah blah blah. They have to preface it with hardworking. And what I eventually came to is that if you're hardworking, it means you do as you're told, right? Literally, you are submissive. You are willing to submit to very strenuous conditions of work. That's what hard work means. It means it's like working you pretty hard, you know? So the phrase honest and hardworking refers to somebody's moral virtue and seeks to emphasize because they preface it with honest. That phrase doubly emphasizes the virtue of being willing to be personally subjected to strenuous conditions of work that are undesirable um, by like direction of somebody else. Basically, submissive and breedable, right? That it all comes back to the psychosexual. Everything about it. But this was an interesting rhetorical philosophical realization. So basically, what I'm saying is the straights are not okay. They should just start saying submissive and breedable whenever they say, and like instead of saying honest, hardworking, just say submissive and breedable because that's what that means. There's no virtue inherent to hard work, right? You could work hard and fail. You could work hard to make things worse. That's not a virtue on its own. Like hard work is not a virtue on its own. There's nothing good about working hard by itself. Outcomes are good. Outcomes can be good. An outcome can be begat without hard work in some instances. Sometimes it does take hard work. But the virtuous thing there, if you work hard to achieve a good outcome and you achieve that outcome, the morally virtuous um, component of that is not that you worked hard. It's that you did something good or even that you tried to do something good because that can like inspire pro-social connections and can do other good things by proxy, right? Like trying to do something good and failing can accomplish other smaller good things along the way. And that is good. Working hard is not the thing that's good there. That's not a virtue. Working hard is not as good as jorking it hard. That's true. Jorking it hard is a virtue. And look, if people want to like be submissive and breedable, be submissive and breedable. You just don't lie to yourself and pretend that hard work is a virtue. Just say that you enjoy submitting to the will of somebody else and enduring strenuous conditions because you're like a masochist. It's all I swear it's all sexual. You find this shit, you come across this shit completely by accident. Everything is sex except for sex, which is politics, and everything is politics except for politics, which is sex. Yeah, we need to stop feeding the soul of Freud. He's too powerful. Yeah, legitimately, like, there are a number of companies, particularly larger companies, where it is actually discouraged to form social relationships in the workplace that don't specifically and strictly have to do with the work at hand. Like, they discourage socializing with colleagues over stuff that isn't work, you know? Because if you're doing that, then that's like you're not totally submissive. You're not totally submitted to the interests of like the company, by which I mean usually it's the interests of like uh uh executives. You know, because executives don't always do shit that's good for the company, but their interests usually prevail over most other people's. That's usually the direction, right? Yeah, you should only be mean to minorities. Like, yeah, the part of the way that fascism is very useful as a tool to capitalism is because capitalism is based on the financial domination. This is actually the name of a fetish too. There is such a thing as findom. Uh, uh, Capitalism is just a non-consensual findom relationship between the owning class and the working class. And whenever there's like a period of duress or decay or stress or whatever, socially, politically, they try to redirect that downwards, where they will convince a political majority of people, as in the in group, to tolerate that findom relationship with capital by providing them with a minority group that they can exercise domination over, so that they get to feel that they are the dominant party in the relationship. Right? I'm phrasing this. I'm not phrasing this with interpersonal language by accident, because fundamentally the same uh, uh, motivations are at play. It's all psychosexual. Is why I shit on the HDG. I don't know what HDG is or who HDG is. Human Domestication Guide. Oh, okay. I don't know what that is. No wonder Republicans are so mean to minorities, are so insecure about their power. I mean, yeah, you can't be a fascist without being profoundly insecure. You don't want to know? Trust. I could hazard a guess, and I think I would believe you. Yeah, I don't want to know. Thank you. You know what? Honestly, okay, I'm going to make a really weird sounding argument. The Protestant work ethic is gooning, right? The Protestant work ethic, the insistence on hard work in itself as a virtue, is a form of gooning, right? Because gooning is the performance of sexual subservience to a hierarchy where you are the bottom bitch, right? And that is like, it's like a fetish. Okay? And I've already explored how hard work, the insistence of hard work as a virtue, really just comes down to your willingness to submit to something undesirable because somebody else wants you to do it. The most zealous voices of American Protestantism, of the like American cultural zeitgeist, as born from Protestantism, that, you know, the spirit of this country is hardworking and whatever, these people are engaging in a veiled version of gooning where they are either under several layers of repression or just intellectually getting off to the concept of themselves and the rest of society being submitted to the will of either they could say God or like they could have businesses in your community and your church be a stand-in. Particularly, they don't emphasize community as much, to do arduous work, not necessarily on the condition that it begets something good, merely on the condition that subservience is the good thing, right? Subservience for its own sake, driven by a psychosexual urge to be praised for your submission. I don't know if I even need to go into it that deep with some people because Protestantism in America is very deeply diseased, and I think everybody can see that it's like based off of submission to arduous work. Like I don't think that's a huge line to draw. Yeah, thank you, Gotron. That is so much more concise than I could ever put it. American Protestantism is literally, I'll be good for you, daddy, both sexually and non-sexually, particularly motivated by a deep repressed psychosexual urge. It's just that. Protestantism is gooning. And I am anti-gooning. Stop gooning. And most of all, stop making it everybody else's problem. I know, we have to stop, man. Freud can't keep getting away with this, dude. He's been getting away with it for 150 years. Oh my god. Bottoms won't stop destroying the world? That's so fucking real. Well, it's not even just bottoms, right? I'm a bottom. I don't make that shit everybody else's problem. It's these fucking repressed freaks that have no outlet. You'll notice all these people that are gooning by way of adhering to Protestant ideology, by way of like submission to the Protestant work ethic, submission to the will of either the state or your employer or your church, which demands a lot of exigences from you, you know, like destroying your mind and body. They're doing that. They're also profoundly sex negative. You'll notice a lot of these people, the Protestants who I have argued are also gooning, are very, very sex negative and hate queer people. That's not an accident. You know, because if you have a normal, healthy sexual release as part of your life, you know, if you're sexually active in a certain way, you're not that much of a freak. Like you were way less likely to become a freak like that because you're not like repressing sexual desire. You're not repressing like unreleased sexual tension, right? That tension needs a release. And you could do it the normal way by jorking it. Or you could edge and goon and do Protestant work ethic shit. In which case you kind of like, you let that tension out in very destructive ways. I'm kind of butchering this explanation. Wilhelm Reich does a better job of explaining this than I probably am here. But the catharsis that people experience when they are both reaffirming themselves as a good boy or good girl for daddy in the dynamic of the Protestant work ethic, while simultaneously harassing minorities, calling ICE on their neighbors, the kind of catharsis that people experience is a similar kind of emotional satisfaction that people get from sex. At least it is meant to serve as a substitute, right? because to them, they kind of can't get even. That's not to say that these people don't fuck. What I'm saying is that, like, because of their ideology, they are ideologically opposed to receiving that kind of release under normal, healthy circumstances in a way that doesn't require them to be a bottom bitch for the state and harass minorities, right? So they have to displace that. They have to find some substitute for that release because, like, in the back of their mind, it's like God is watching and actively disapproving of you as you masturbate or something, you know? Every fascist movement is like that to varying degrees, right? I think it's American Protestantism, I think, lends itself exceptionally well to this because the Protestant work ethic is so central to the entire religion. But notably, there have been fascist movements in countries that were not Protestant, not even culturally Protestant, and this same psychosexual repression and displacement of energy, like displacement of release from like normal modes of like sexual intercourse and whatever to non-sexual but psychosexually motivated harassing of minorities, that's present in non-Protestant fascist countries. But it's also present in Protestantism necessarily, which motivates Protestantism towards fascism, right? I've waffled for a little bit on that now. This is my message to American Protestants, actually all Protestants. Hard work is not a virtue. Submitting to authority is not a virtue. Stop gooning. It's making the world worse. It's making your life worse. It's not healthy. Go jork it every once in a while. Thanks for watching, and support the channel if you would be so kind.